Hey everyone, we're the team from Bait, and this is the Deadline Studio at Prime Experience. I guess the idea here is that at the heart of the show is this feeling, right? That Charlotte Teef, this character, he's always auditioning throughout this show. He's always trying to perform a version of himself that will be more accepted, desired, validated. And I kind of felt like that sometimes, not just as an actor, but as a human being. I think that that's a feeling we can all relate to. We're all performing this public version of ourselves on social media or on Zoom or on LinkedIn or whatever it is, even when we meet strangers. But actually, we're all so much more messy, chaotic, and vulnerable than that. And a friend told me that distance between your public and private self is the amount of shame that you carry. He's no longer my friend anymore because that was too real for me. But I wanted to make a comedy within that playground of shame. The only way through shame is laughter, I think. And it's like, I wanted to just put it all out there about how sometimes I feel like an imposter. I think we all do. And so James Bond in this show is a kind of symbol of what you wish you were and everything that actually you're not.
I thought it was really interesting to see you wearing so many hats. Can you talk about how that was specifically creatively fulfilling for you?
It was a real buzz. It was like a drug, really. I've never been so kind of stimulated, you know, all the different parts of your brain. And also to just be surrounded by people who are so incredible at what they do, you know. I remember all the music calls with Ciara were going on for such a long time. Ben was like, Riz, we need to go back to the edit. I remember, you know, just Ben really just, mentoring me throughout this whole process. His background is so diverse, from The Onion to Colbert to Modern Family, and we needed all those different elements of his super brain to guide us through this. It was like going to college for me. Allie, is my therapist at this point, you know, and built this whole thing ground up. And it really took someone like Bassam, an old friend, to nudge me to go like, this ain't you, be more you. Put it out there more. I know you. Be a little bit more crazy and annoying, because you are. And so it was really this, yes, I was stimulated, but more than anything, I was challenged and learning from like this amazing team.
I didn't know Riz personally, I just knew him from his work. But obviously, when I was presented with the opportunity to work with him, I jumped at it. And we just, like, from the first meeting, just kind of had a very nice kind of meeting of the mind, sensibility-wise, and I just knew we were going to be able to figure out the show. He had a ton of ideas, and it was just like an exercise in kind of harnessing this, like, madcap energy. And it was really, really fun talking about these ideas and these themes, but having this character that we knew was going to be able to kind of like bring humanity to it all. And that's kind of what you're always looking for when you're doing these types of projects, is like, what is it that's going to make it like transcend from, you know, just an idea on the page or just like kind of a cool concept. And, you know, it obviously takes like, it's a highly collaborative process to do it, but at the core, you have to have someone who can like just bring that humanity to all these ideas. We definitely wanted to go beyond the kind of easy, you know, a guy who typically wouldn't get a chance to play Bond is up for Bond, and how do people react? I think there's like a first level reaction to that kind of story. And I think to Riz's credit, to Allie's credit, we really wanted to just push beyond that kind of initial kind of, yes, obviously there might be some like backlash, but what is it about, you know, people from within your own kind of world, within your own sphere and yourself? Like, how can we kind of expand the conversation beyond just like, yeah, there's been some hullabaloo about casting, you know, over the years, but we felt like that show would be probably not as interesting as what we were going for.
Yeah, I mean, I think so much, we talked a lot about in kind of the early days of the show that it was about the cost of success, and even a character who hasn't even had the success he wants yet, and still the cost of that, and how that plays out within your own family and friend groups and personal relationships. So I think it was tackling things within the entertainment industry, but also going a step further, kind of looking at how we're all complicit in the desire for success and ambition.
We knew we wanted it to play in lots of different kind of flavors. And looking back now, I think it makes sense because the show's about a character going through an identity crisis. So it made sense that the show is also going through an identity crisis in a way. The show is trying to figure out what it is. It goes from, yeah, it does, right? It goes from like a Bond episode to a Bollywood soap opera to a Before Sunrise walk and talk. It's like our character is trying to work out where he belongs, what story makes sense for him. And of course, you have to weave your own story. So I think there was that, but I have to say that with all those different flavors, what we really needed was a really solid tonal glue, almost a framing device that was a through line, a consistent through line through the whole thing. And for me, that was the music. And that was the music that Ciara brought to us. It was both freewheeling and playful and surreal, but really specific. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what Riz says about trying to find a sort of context for the rest of the show to kind of take place. And I think we kind of really set ourselves up to use the music in that way because it provides an amazing cultural context with everything that we use, but also it in itself moves around a lot. I mean, I think in episode 4 we have everything from like UK grime to garage to 70s Pakistani folk music all in one episode, and it's that idea of like life doesn't take place in one genre, it takes place in lots of different genres. And you know, that episode specifically takes place on Brick Lane. You can go to Brick Lane any night of the week and you'll hear all that music. So it's that thing of, you know, truth being stranger than fiction.
The only thing consistent about the music was that I knew none of it.
Yeah.
And if Ben did know a song, we knew it couldn't be the show. That was our litmus in many ways. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ciara, did you take a walk down Brick Lane as part of your research? Just to
I've taken many walks down Brick Lane in my time, luckily, so I didn't need to hop back on the plane for that. But yeah, absolutely. It was about making something that felt really real to people who knew that area, but then also played into the surreal of the story.
And can I just say, you know, the whole thing of having lots of juxtaposed genres and tones within each episode and from episode to episode, that's also a love letter to London. It's such a hodgepodge city, and someone who really allowed me to see that so clearly was Bassam. Like, Bassam's not from London, but you know, you've spent a lot of time there, and your take on London is always kind of like, it was almost like you see it more clearly than Londoners sometimes because you can appreciate what it is.
There's something about Shah that's like really larger than life. So I think what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we framed everything really wide in the beginning. That's kind of allowed for like this, like there's so many things that are always competing in his world. So how do we just always show it kind of coming in? And I think the people are really beautiful. I think that's the one thing that we wanted to make sure that all the colors are alive. So just from the costumes that we had from our costume center, Jodie Simone, and just making sure that everyone was like really just all the colors are there in the people and all the places that we were filming. So I think we made sure that we were never just stuck in the usual grays that I think we imagine London to be.
We spoke a lot about Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
We wanted it to have the kind of like psychedelic, surreal, almost fairy tale, fable-esque, fabulous, I guess, right? Like, like kind of feeling to it. And to that end, Shah spends the whole second half of the show in the costume that is an homage to Alice in Wonderland. He's wearing the sky blue kurta with the white shalwar, and he's going down the rabbit hole.
You know, the other thing I'd say is that with music, particularly the entire time, you were always humming stuff, like on set all the time. So that actually helped us with the cadence of what we were building, because so much of all of us were just kind of feeling each other's energies of like, all right, this has got to have a rhythm, it's got to have a rhythm. So even when we're filming everything, we were kind of like looking at the music, and then in between, like you'd always be doing the sweet dreams, like it was just stuck in my head all the time because you're like, da na 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 na. So that was just like, okay, great. So that's the energy that we have to run with in all these scenes. So even like when you see when you're leaving, when you're getting papped, right at that moment, there's this moment where our cameras go zoom right in. There's all this stuff that we're doing that we're just trying to match the energy that I think Shah was bringing on the day.
How was it to get the whole Bond thing past the Bond producers, the Broccoli's?
It was a real process, but one if I'm being fully honest, was skeptical of from the start, and it was really a testament to Riz of saying, even if we have a 1% shot, we should go for it and try it. And Riz reached out to Barbara Broccoli and had lunch with her and talked to her and convinced her and kind of shared the show with her. And
he's going to be the next Bond.
Yeah, that
we had written a lot of the show, and a lot was riding on that. Like it was going to be work to
Yeah.
undo that.
Backup plan in my head. But I think overall, I mean, it really is testament to just both of these guys continuing to push for it and getting it. And then it actually, when the question was asked, it ended up being not that big of a hurdle to cross.
And we should really shout out Barbara Broccoli, who's
Yeah.
such a champion of like people, you know, new voices and yeah, she just really kind of supports, you know, storytellers in that way. So.
If you had to distill bait down to one truth it's exploring, what would each of you say?
Down to one truth is exploring. That we're enough, you know. Sometimes when you feel as though you're not enough, you're trying to do too much. Yeah, I know, Shah feels as though he's not enough. And I felt like that. I feel like that right now, actually. No, but I mean, we all feel like that from day to day, right? And you know, my greatest hope is that if we make something honest and vulnerable and enough, that it resonates with people in a way where they might kind of, you know, be inspired to embrace their vulnerability too.
Something that I love about the ending is about how love, like we are carrying all the love that everyone's given to us in all of its imperfect ways, and that's who we are. And I think that's the thing that it really builds up to so beautifully at the end. That when he then, I don't know if it's a spoiler if we say it here, but when he says his name, at the end, it's like he's saying that, like, I am this person that, you know, conqueror of the world, or Shah Jahan. It's like, but it's because of all this love that has been here for me. So there's something really, and I think if all of us can find that in our own imperfect lives, and there's something really powerful about that. I think that's what I felt watching the ending.
Yeah, I felt like the ending really felt like a sort of claiming of oneself.
Yeah.
It was like saying, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the idea of it's about a person on a journey looking for love in all the wrong places. I mean, you said that kind of from the beginning of it, and he goes on this journey to find that love's within him.